Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
All birds zealots drive me insane. That umbrella guy, they didn't even know my name. Just called pushing thing, and the leadest viper. Too long, get him a diaper. Now they're crying while trying to drag me down. That umbrella guy, be careful, all those tears might make you drown. Low rent journal, starting on the mic. Bots, are your writers still on strike? That umbrella guy, how dare you leave our questions? We'll accuse him, get busted, and we'll never make corrections. Envious of this platinum foe, so they target Adam Baldwin for their tiny little show. That umbrella guy, how dare he laugh aloud? Oh no, look, we're gathering a crowd. There's a plan, let's pretend none of them are real. Instead of admitting what you did to death is real. Wait a minute, they just computerized my voice. I'm a supervillain, that's their narrative choice. They're running a multinational AI army. That's what cost them millions. Yeah, that's really charming. That umbrella guy will show him how it's done. Call 911, he's laughing, he's still not on the run. Yes, Your Honor, Alexi, he's mocking my name. And he's monetizing me, that's not part of the game. That umbrella guy, he's not playing fair. No, Your Honor, I don't think the man's aware. We represent his mainstream matters, and net injustice, no, doesn't fit in our headers. A wallet, you wanna count my money? After you raised an anonymous 10 million? Yeah, that's pretty funny. Corruption, that sounds like a sign. I'd laugh at you, but a joke, you're more of a punchline. That umbrella guy, he's mocking me in song, so a nation of bots can clap and sing along. And guess what? I did this for free, just to laugh at the tantrum you and your peers launched with me. That umbrella guy, we talked to a spy, got exclusives, and we didn't pump up the vocal fry. You don't understand, he leaked all our questions, and they read like scumbag journalist confessions. And now, the song comes to an end. Laugh and load my verbal clip, and press send. That umbrella guy, I never back down. Pumping that hot driven, that real sound. One more thing before this is done. Election interference, for real? No weed in the cup, son. It's the drugs, right? Maybe you should rest. Doesn't drop you on your head. You're not bringing your best.
All right, folks, how's it going? Welcome to a Sunday edition of Laughing at Dan Wooten. Because Mr. Wooten, man, talk about a failure in 2024. I mean, this is kind of fascinating. Because when you look at this is a second giant name in the last year that was attached to Emma. As far as, I'm not saying they're giant in the mainstream, I'm saying they're giant names that were attached to her in some way. And they backed away. That doesn't count Musk either. I mean, Musk, that's a giant name that apparently had problems. But Wooten, he's trying to save face. And the way that he does this is so scummy in its own way, too. He wants to detach, but at the same time, he wants to keep the clout that he has. So let's check this out. This actually, he has two parts to this thing. This was his discussion with Megyn Kelly. Now, he did about an hour and 14-minute interview with her. He talked about how he was canceled, how it was totally unfair. And because of that, well, poor Mr. Wooten, he should have, his tactic is, I never should have talked about this in the first place. He pretends basically 5 years 5 years of insanity. That didn't happen. What's up, DUI guy? These are the 20 there. Tug us apart. I has proof in me. Like when I feel like it, all you have to do is wait. Oh, taking shots with Jags, man. I've tried to avoid it. All that. I've gotten along with everybody. And, here's the way I look at all this stuff. I look at it as, what's my point? Like these things they always break down. This is the problem with community or whatever you want to call this thing. When you have social movements, they break down, they turn into infighting, and the wheels fall off. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks, because ultimately the Johnny Depp win, that was just the beginning of something. You could actually have social change at a giant political and social level. But instead, people, they kind of snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And it's sad because it happens on repeat. I've seen it in I've seen 4 large social movements since I've been online, and every one of them does that. If they start to win or if they get a big win, the wheels fall off. And it's sad because, again, this stuff for some people, it was just about Johnny Depp, and that's okay. That's your buy-in. But for me, I feel that most people can't afford the type of justice that's required. The costs there, the association, and they just get left in the weeds. The law does not favor them. Law steps on you, and ultimately that's a disservice to all victims. So I kind of wish the wheels we could strap them back on. Everybody could get along, and if Waldman wants to drop some bombs, let him drop some bombs. I mean, like I said, I'd like Waldman. I think he's got a lot more going on right this minute. I think people tried to destroy his life. I think that gets lost in the fray too. And ultimately, here's one of the dangers of any of this stuff too. Ultimately, we're all individuals, and people will hate us no matter what we say. Sometimes they'll hate us for having an opinion on something or a direct statement on something. And ultimately, like a Waldman or a DUI guy or myself or whomever, we all take risk covering this stuff. And when you get hit, we can fix these things too if we're somehow united. So anyway, that's my spiel on there. I really, I do think the Alexi thing though is pretty funny, because we're finding out that Alexi, the sources that were used were Christina Taft and were Bot Sentinel, and that that doesn't go over very well at all. Like, you check this out. Here's actually a post on. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. And then we'll go over that. We'll go over all that stuff. As far as the bots are concerned, though, check this out. Give me 1 minute. Take me a second to lock in here. So this guy is one of the sources for for telling us that there are bots out there. What kind of sources does he enjoy using? Bot Sentinel, Botometer. It's sad. Botometer. I don't know if any of you have ever tracked out Botometer, but it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Let's see. Mashed Potato Goblin, thanks for the 5 gifted memberships, by the way. Appreciate you there. Rhea Rye, thanks for the 2. Welcome back. There we go, to guys. Super 23, missed him. Hey, I saw a couple of people in the fray out there. A couple of people that have been sick, by the way, I knew about. A couple of them that didn't want anything said. So props to you. Welcome back. Kitty Ninja, thank you also for the 14 months. I love the Alex tune. Yeah, I did 2 bot ones. I actually did a What the Hell's one this weekend too, but I haven't I haven't put any subtitles to them, and it's a little harder to understand if you need those subtitles sometimes. So anyway, let's check this out here. So we have Megyn Kelly talking to Dan Wooten. And Dan Wooten, if you haven't been keeping up with this, let me just give you a quick summary of Dan Wooten. Dan Wooten decided that he would write the article that led to the UK case. And remember, the UK case wasn't Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. It was Johnny Depp versus the Sun. And the question there becomes whether the Sun and what they had been told, when they write you're a wife beater, whether they had been given, whether they were writing that to the best of their knowledge. And again, there were so many problems with being able to present evidence, just so many whacked out things that judge decides. But Dan Wooten was the source of that. Dan Wooten called for Johnny Depp to lose his job. He wanted J.K. Rowling. He wrote an article saying that J.K. Rowling was essentially a hypocrite. That Hollywood, if they actually stood with women, they would stand and they would fire Johnny Depp, which they did not, by the way. He was actually in Fantastic Beasts. This was before 3. This was in part 2. And he continued this. He continued it to the point that we're going to listen to what he has to say. He also, he put out a little thing about this too. And on top of that, I want to show you a couple of screenshots. So let's get into this. Let me turn off this captions. You notice I skipped forward, by the way. If you want to listen to the whole thing, knock yourself out. He whines about being canceled. Oh, so the cancellation, by the way, quote unquote cancellation. He was accused by an ex of doing horrendous things. Byline Times picked that up. I covered it as it came up. And like I told you, and the Dan Wootens of the world don't like this, but like I told you, Dan Wooten, he wanted you to listen to evidence after. He's canceled many people. Many people. The Depp one is just a very obvious one. Well, now he tries to walk that back. And again, him trying to walk it back, period, says two things. Number one, he knows it was detrimental, which is a huge blow, like to Amber Heard, period. But number two, when you listen, his quote unquote apology, it's trash. So I feel like we should wreck this too. So let's go.
Okay. Johnny Depp, the audience may not be aware, but he sued you. He sued you for reporting you did on the Amber Heard allegations against him. And the audience may remember before he brought his defamation case against her here domestically, he started in the UK and Dan was on the receiving end of that. And there, Johnny Depp did not prevail. And then he came over here and he did prevail. It usually goes the other way because in the UK, it's easier to prove defamation than.
Yeah, see, that's kind of a weird thing, isn't it? If it's easier to prove defamation, what went wrong there? What went wrong indeed? And when you look at it, read the report by the judge. Read everything. It's essentially everything that's said. Nope, doesn't compute. You know what went wrong there? You didn't have a jury actually get to look at it. You just have one dude with ties to either the company that's being sued along with Dan Wooten, or you have a judge that is tied to the people that are out there representing Amber Heard. I mean, it's a travesty when you look at it, an absolute travesty. So anyway, continuing.
And it is here in the United States, especially when there's a public figure involved. But you were in kind of an interesting spot there because, I don't know, maybe some people normally would have expected you to kind of take his side, but you were much more like Amber Heard is brave and
he's a cancel culturer. Let's be real about this. He's decided since he took the blows that suddenly evidence matters. But before that, for years, it didn't matter. It goes back to this whole thing that the media does. They are the arbiter of truth. If they decide to cancel you, you're supposed to be done. Because their voice trumps evidence. We saw the same thing happen in the Me Too movement. We saw Asia Argento. Asia Argento would say, believe women, believe women, believe women. She did this over and over again. Believe victims. Okay. Well, an alleged victim comes out and says that Argento had, let's say, relations with him when he was under under the legal age in California. When Argento gets blowback for this, she comes back and she says, no, believe women, aka me, and believe victims. I'm the victim in this, because it just spins out. It's like, what the hell? What the hell's going on? And it's the same thing with Dan Wooten. Dan Wooten now fights the cancel culture. Oh, he's brave. He's stunning. It's like bullshit, man. I'm tired of these people. They're all frauds, all of them. I also, I'm going to say something that might rankle a few feathers here too, but I'm tired of people telling me that the mainstream media is a problem and then going on and trying to get, oh my God, can I get an interview? Oh, that'd be so great. I'm not saying every institution out there is trash, but man, come on, create something better. Stop freaking depending on these losers, man. I'd say they speak half truths, but that's giving them a little bit, a little more than they should have, because that half, it's usually no truth at all. Anyway, let's continue.
I stand by my reporting that he was an alleged abuser. And now you say you want to issue an apology to him. Why?
Yeah, so it was interesting. The court case in the UK, even though Amber was giving evidence, it was actually me who was being sued. So she was giving evidence to support our case because she knew if she won here, that would help her case in the US, although that didn't end up happening. Now, I want to be really clear that what I'm about to say is not designed in any way to pile more heartache or difficulties onto Amber Heard. Remember,
she's a fraud. I'm going to apologize. Fuck yourself, Dan. I mean, just straight up, fuck yourself, dude. I'm tired of this. You got canceled. You have problems now. You got canceled off your network. You want to start your own thing. So suddenly, again, you're a trustworthy source and you're going to undo damage, but you don't, because you can't admit it. You know why you can't admit it? Because there's some legal problems that might bring up too, because he knows he's a fraud. There's this huge limit. See, the Depp case, he can normally get away with this because you can usually make it a partisan thing. You can make it politics. But the Depp case, you have people from all over, every walk of life, and they don't buy into the bullshit. Now, there are people out there that have been doing damage control for Dan Wooten for a while. People that are friends and whatever. I don't know these people. I don't mean anything negative toward them, but sincerely, fuck this dude. He didn't do one article and he was done. He spent freaking half a decade trying to destroy somebody's life, and he almost succeeded. He's on the losing end of it now. That's why it's a problem. And look at the cop out. Oh, I don't want to cause any negativity, any difficulties or heartache.
Remember, she didn't want to be in court either, Megan. It was Johnny who decided.
Now, she didn't want to be in court. Now, let's remember this too. She didn't want to be in court, but she did want to write an article in 2018 that your ass followed up on. That's what the lawsuits came from. Remember, you did this first. You thought you would have just a free hand. You get to sucker punch somebody's career. Take it down again. An article written to J.K. Rowling saying, fire this guy. And an article written to Hollywood saying, fire this guy. And him trying to use the Me Too and lying about part of it, by the way. Some of the people that were quoted had no idea what they were taking part in. So this guy is a scumbag, an absolute scumbag of epic proportions. Like I said, I'm tired of hearing about these political heads. If you buy in to one side versus the other, man, you need to just take a minute, breathe, look at life. It's more complicated. It's scumbags like this they work in and they deceive you. And he'll be doing this shit again once he gets back. If he gets back onto the top, which he will eventually, he'll get back there, because there are a lot of sheep batting in the wind, man.
To take the case against me in the UK and her in the US. But what I do want to do is apologize to Johnny for ever getting involved in the ins and outs of his personal and clearly very toxic relationship. I have now seen, Megan, and we've spoken about it during the first hour, just what can happen.
So, okay, you see how this is going. He's actually admitting that he saw abuse from Amber Heard. That's fascinating. It slips in toxic relationship. Now he's trying to lay it on both sides' doorstep. So again, I think that's a legal liability issue first and foremost. But also, he can't just come out and say, "Hey, didn't do my research." Totally a liar, therefore. So what's he do? Oh, well, relationships. And I know how relationships are. So continuing.
When an ex has such an axe to grind, is so actuated by malice, that they will make up terrible things designed to destroy your career and destroy your life. Now, by the way, I'm not saying that that's what Amber did, but we don't know, do we? And it was...
Well,
we do know, and she's about to call this out. We do know, Dan, you fucking fraud. Again, I'm going to apologize. I should have never covered it. Uh-huh. Why should you have never covered it? Oh, because an ex might have an axe to grind. I've got a little one coming.
Hey, Dad, I've gum on my foot.
What is? That's not gum.
It's gum.
That's not gum, dude. That's just that's not gum. That's Play-Doh.
I said the Play-Doh.
Yeah. Here, I'll throw it away. Here, you gotta go upstairs though. Let me cover this for a few minutes, okay, baby?
Oh,
You can have it separate for.
I'm dusty.
Thursday. Well, tell Susie to get you a drink out. I don't have anything down here.
I want an orange drink.
Well, ask her to get you an orange drink out. I don't have anything down here though. Actually, there's a thing up there. See it?
I don't like so soft. I like big stuff.
Huh?
I like big drinks,
Yeah, there's one up there. See it?
but not soft.
Well, see if there's one upstairs. You can go get one if you see one.
I want orange one.
All right, we'll go see one. See if there's one. If not, ask Sissy to get you a drink, okay? All right, love you, kiddo. All right, let's continue this.
that's what the jury said. That's what the jury in the
Of course,
the
but the
states.
judge in the UK made a different decision. So I think you could...
The judge in the UK. Again, he's running into a real problem there because of credibility or lack of. What?
I shot my lollipop at one.
You dropped your lollipop?
Yeah.
Here's a different one.
Thank you, Dad. You're the best dad ever.
Oh, thank you. Well, you're the best. You're one of the 2 best kids ever.
Yeah,
Yep.
me.
All right. Go upstairs. I'll see you in a minute. All right, let's continue.
say it was a split decision, but
It
it wasn't my role to get involved. If
some would say it was a split decision, really, Dan. Here's my apology. Fuck yourself.
Amber believed there had been abuse in that relationship, there was a criminal process she could have gone through, and there was a legal process that she could have gone through. I think the problem is I got involved in the carnival of commentary, and actually
You created the carnival, you lying, manipulative asshole. You created it. You didn't get involved. Like, basically, this man is a tabloid reporter. Don't get it twisted. He's a tabloid reporter that found that politics, if you go out, you can grift that politics good. For that, he's working at the Sun. I mean, that is some low rung garbage. The lowest of the low with the Sun. And old Carnival Barker here, Dan, he wants to pretend that he got involved in. I also liked how he said Amber Heard believed that there was. Not that there was. Remember that whole her truth versus the truth. It's amazing that he goes out and again, he says, don't buy into listen and believe, but he still parrots the same words that come up with listen and believe. I believed there was. Based on what? Based on having an axe to grind. You just said it yourself, asshole. Oh, I hate this guy, man. I don't like Dan Wooten. I watched him again for years try to destroy someone's life. And he pounded on his chest. Eve Barlow, all these people. He was great with it, and he would have continued on until he got canceled. Then they turned on him. When they turned on him, suddenly it's all wrong. That disturbs me.
Actually, it was in a really unwitting way, Megan, because my column wasn't even about Johnny Depp. It was actually about J.K. Rowling. You know, I absolutely love J.K. Rowling now. She's one of my heroes because she stands up for biological sex and she's taken on the woke mob. But at the time, do you remember she was leading the charge in the Me Too movement and saying that all women should be believed? All women should be believed, no matter what. That was J.K. Rowling.
I don't remember her being one of those.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling wasn't actually an all women should be believed. That is not correct. That's not at all. Because if she was there as part of the Me Too movement. See, this is the poison with any of these movements. They start out, Me Too was supposed to be saying, hey, this can happen to me too. This did happen to me too. It was supposed to be about support and empathy. And then it started calling out Hollywood. And many of the people in Hollywood it was calling out, there are monsters out there. They are absolute monsters. Give me one second. But for him to play this game, my God, I need to. Oh my God, there's so many. There's so many beautiful articles that have come up on this too. Oh, it's lovely. I'll have to pull them up. I was going to do a search and pull that up, but I thought, yeah, maybe I still will. I don't know. Let's go.
She was, but then she didn't sign up to that when it came to Johnny Depp. So I was calling out, actually, my column was about calling out the hypocrisy of J.K. Rowling. Then, unfortunately, and this does happen.
That's a bunch of bullshit, too. His was about getting someone fired. He followed this up, too. He wants to pretend that he didn't write other articles. He didn't write articles like, Johnny Depp is not a victim of cancel culture. He spent years trying to cancel Amber Heard and me. He wrote that in 2022, by the way. So this farce, this game of pretend, I'll pull that article up too. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling up articles while I'm thinking about them. It astounds me to see how much he's posted. You know, he posted all over social media too, calling out. Let me see if I still have one of those loaded in here. I mean, they were everywhere. You know, he talked about her being the Hollywood hypocrite. For what, though? For standing by Fantastic Beasts star Johnny Depp, despite allegations. That right there, that is him canceling Depp. That's not calling out hypocrisy. It's trying to pressure a cancellation, trying to pressure J.K. Rowling, and it didn't work. That's the fascinating thing. It didn't actually work. His excuse me, his article was called Gone Potty. How can J.K. Rowling be genuinely happy casting Johnny Depp? And the fan and new he put in wife. Let's not forget that. They changed it online. I just pulled up the change when I was like, wait a minute. Called wife Wimes with Walmart greeter Johnny Depp. A new Fantastic Beasts film. And this article, man, I mean, it's nasty work. So let me continue here.
On newspaper websites, a headline was put on the column that described Johnny Depp as a wife beater. That was never written by me. It didn't appear in the print newspaper, but you can imagine all hell broke loose as a result of that. But I think one of the big issues that we have now, Megan, in the culture war is that so often we dig deep into our trenches. We don't take a moment to look back at what we've done and think, actually, was that a mistake? And I guess I've had the time to do that over the past 6 months.
Oh, yeah. When you got canceled, sucks, doesn't it? No, you reap your own whirlwind. You help create this tide, not just to cancel a Johnny Depp, like I said, but they would cancel anybody. Anybody. So I say reap the whirlwind. Anytime you notice any of these fuckers, when they get canceled there, it's like, no. Evidence. We need evidence. They didn't need it before. They need to play by their own rules that they made other people play by. They called for other people to be laid off and fired and going for this. Not just a Depp, like I say. He's done that to multiple people. But now, when he's trying to remedy the issues for himself, again, all of this is a problem.
And I've thought a lot about it. And I do think I was wrong to ever get involved. I don't think it was my business. And I think all I did was add extra heartache to what was clearly a very troubled, very toxic relationship. Do I think Johnny Depp is a perfect guy? Absolutely not.
I don't think even he would argue that.
No, but I have lots of regrets over that. And I don't think enough journalists talk about their regrets sometimes. So
this is why I'm not a journalist, by the way. I don't like it when people call me a journalist. Oh, well, I never want to be called that. Because journalists don't do their due diligence. They don't. They race to be first. They don't race to be right. It's a slow haul, too. Oh, God, I hate this guy.
But yeah, I was definitely wrong. It's something I wish that I hadn't done, even though I would defend myself and saying it was very unwitting. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't expecting to become the guy to go against Johnny Depp at all.
Oh, really? Because I'm going to pull up your article in just a second. I'm going to remind people what it looked like. I'm even gonna pull up the one where he says, I didn't add a headline there, So we'll look at the article itself, and you tell me in retrospect what the point is of it. Was that just him reporting? Because again, he's trying to rewrite reality. The unfortunate portion of that, though, for him is the article is still out there.
But I think now I know that you cannot just trust the word of an ex. You can't, because some exes, because I now know from personal experience, my ex was prepared to do anything to destroy me, Megan, anything. Going to the police, making up stories, posting on X. He was prepared to do anything. So I just feel like when relationships like this go wrong, it should be down to law enforcement to make the decision, not social media and not the media itself. So
what a change, right? Calling for the removal of a job to, well, it should be law. And again, that's because that social media circus that you rely on for cancellation, the people like Dan Wooten rely on, it turns on you. The torches and the pitchforks always come back. They always do. And it's nastiness.
I was definitely wrong on that.
Well, Dan, I appreciate you saying that. I feel the same. I'm constantly looking back at my own positions and asking, how could I do better? What do I know now that would change my opinions? And I really encourage everybody to do that, because if you just stick with, I'm right today and I've always been right, then if you were wrong yesterday and you're wrong today, you never have any chance of being right tomorrow.
But he stuck with it for 6 years. 6 years after the trial. Again, this is fraud on just an epic level. But again, politics, gotta pretend that that's okay, right? I don't have to.
That's just the way it is. So self-reflection, introspection, and a lot of humility will go a long way for every human, journalist or not, in assessing their positions in this crazy world that we find ourselves in, especially with media so disjointed.
And the thing with Johnny, and I think this is where now I understand where he was coming from in a way where maybe I didn't before, is the reason that he decided to bring the cases, Megan, is because he felt like his career had been unfairly taken away from him because the Hollywood studios would no longer book him for the big movies. And obviously, there's a lot of similarities to me in that position.
Oh, see? He gives away the reasoning. He gives away the ghost right there. He's telling you he would have never changed his tune where it just left up to talking about that if he wouldn't have been accused himself. Like I said, that's nastiness, because what it does is it treats people like there aren't liars out there until you run into a liar, until you've actually had someone try to destroy you. None of it was real. And that's, I can't even tell you the level of wrong that is engaged in that. Oh, I got a little one coming 1 second again. All right.
If you didn't give me 100, you have to tell the kids to tell what you say, but me too. You do.
Well, I'll get one after my stream, okay? Because I don't know where the one is, okay?
It's in the fridge.
Well, get it and get one of those big cups for me, and I'll fix you up some, okay?
Okay.
Because I don't remember there being one. I was looking for. I want to show you something along with that too. Okay, I want to show you. This is how Dan Wooten was through social media. Just to make this very clear. Okay. This was Dan Wooten. He was tagging in Eve Barlow. He was celebrating the damage that he did. He was happy about it. He was like, for all those Depp heads, think you bully me into silence? Hell no. I actually just called you out. So it wasn't just about cancellation of a Depp. It was about canceling anyone that spoke up about this. And what made you a quote unquote Depp head was saying, hey, let's look at evidence. And then he tags in Eve Barlow, who turned on him just like that when he got accused. That's why, at the end of the day, he's having this switchover. And he actually, so this apology that came up with Megyn Kelly, it went over like a ton of bricks. His own sister ends up posting saying, that's not the apology itself. So he ends up putting out an article on the day after that. And let me pull that up.
I want a strawberry cup. Strawberry cup?
A what?
The strawberry cup you clean.
Actually, go get the shark cup we had earlier.
I want it, please.
No, we have to get the strawberry cup. I mean, the shark cup. Go get the shark cup.
I want the strawberry.
You have to get the shark cup because you used it earlier.
Oh, it's silly.
You have to get the shark cup.
Hey, it's clean.
Well, then get it. Get it then.
But it's so high up. It's so high up.
Then get the shark cup. Get the shark cup. Go. Then yeah, you have to get the shark cup. She'll be like, let's use 92 glasses a day. I'm like, no. Use the one we used earlier. We just used like 20 minutes ago. It cracks me up with that. So here's Dan Wooten's own. This is his own website, Dan Wooten Outspoken. And he posts this the following day because apparently that didn't go over the way he intended. I mean, they basically, like I said, they tried to back off of that. And they posted it. Now, I haven't read this yet, so I don't know if it's the exact same thing he's trying to post. But they tried to deflect away. I mean, as people connected to him. Reportedly, I saw people saying that's it. I'm not interested in going down the Dan Wooten rabbit hole because I don't give a fuck about that dude. I don't like him. I don't ever cared about him. I don't like him at all. So, but same last name, connection. Yeah, you could see it. So, after being falsely accused by a deranged ex, he makes it about himself because that's Dan Wooten all the time. Why now admit it was wrong to ever get involved in Johnny Depp's private life. Contested historical claims must be dealt with by law enforcement, not trial by social media. Again, that's because he was tried and found guilty in social media. And he talks about Byline Times. Byline Times showed more evidence of his guilt than he showed evidence related to Johnny Depp. I'm not saying he did anything either. I'm just saying that if he wants to go out and say, oh, Byline Times, well, they showed things like, okay, here's one thing that I thought was interesting. There was an email associated with all this strange back and forth, or the claims of blackmail. All right. This email and 2 other emails associated with Dan Wooten, they had their passwords leaked, and they all had the same uncommon password. It was an 8-character uncommon password, according to them. And the odds of that, yeah, especially considering one of those was Dan Wooten's private email. So, I mean, it's like, well, that's a little, Now, again, I'm not saying Dan Wooten's guilty of anything, but playing by his own rules, by listen and believe, I'm going to say, yeah. So this is what he had to say. One of the biggest issues in the mainstream media today is that so few players are prepared to admit when they got something horribly wrong. In the cancel culture, folks dig deeper into their trenches, and sometimes there's little chance to take a breath and realize that the most sensible thing would be reverse course, or at least admit errors with a degree of nuance. Today, just days after announcing, I'm launching a new independent show called Dan Wooten Outspoken. After leaving GB News in a free speech row, I get the opportunity to do just that. I love that, by the way. He got canned. I don't think he should have been canned for what was said either. You may hate what he said, but the person that he was, that commentary was made, laugh tracks were made at, that person has terrible things to say about men in general. They want men to be scared. I mean, just, they're a horrible human being too. If you're going to cancel one of them, cancel them all. I mean, that's personal belief on that, but I don't think Dan Wooten was fired because of that. I think it gave an excuse to get rid of him, because ultimately Dan Wooten was smart in his process. When he got accused, he came out and said, this is an attempt to cancel GB News, and it's because of what I cover here. That's why they're coming after me. I mean, all of these people, they're partisan in their politics. That's the talking point he went with. He tied himself into GB News, so it made himself hard to get rid of. That was roping them into that. That was smart. And it was desperate. Now, though, now that he's in the gutter, totally different. Oh, we get oh, look. That looks like a freaking clown mask. Look at that freaking image. It does, doesn't it? It does. It looks like a clown mask. I've stayed silent for many years on Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, despite ending up an unwitting party in the former Hollywood golden couple's bid for mutual destruction in a British courtroom. A bid for mutual destruction. Somebody targets your reputation, targets your life and livelihood, targets your name, you sue. After a place comes out, you're an unwitting party? Come, give me a break, man. What a bunch of trash. With 5 years of hindsight, 5 years. Like I said, I'll show you some of that hindsight in a second. And a changed personal outlook, thanks to my own mainstream media cancellation, I now admit that I should never have gotten involved in the carnival of commentary on the catastrophic breakdown of Johnny's relationship. Let's see, I haven't even watched this.
One of the biggest issues in the mainstream media today is that so few players are prepared to admit when they got something horribly wrong. In the culture war, folk dig deeper into their trenches, and sometimes there is little chance to take a breath and realize the most sensible thing would be to reverse course, or at least address errors with a degree of nuance.
Saying the same things here.
Today, I finally get the opportunity to do just that. I have stayed silent for many years on Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, despite...
Bullshit. stayed silent for many years. Are you kidding me? Again, he wrote the Johnny Depp is not a victim of cancel culture. He spent years trying to cancel me. He wrote that in April 2022 when the trial started up. So, I mean, him being quiet for, are you kidding me? He has posted about this stuff. He has continually done it. What a fraud. Again, he wants to rewrite this and make it about one article. And even if you went with that one article, he's wanting to rewrite the intention of said article. But I mean, all of this is a lie. And it's a lie trying to benefit him because this is the one. He's canceled other people, like I said. But this is one that people will not let him forget. Not at all. I mean, it's what a bunch of trash. Never let the people forget. Don't let this fucker rewrite history. That's what they all do. You notice the mainstream media has spent 2 years trying to rewrite Depp versus Heard. Dan Wooten now, he's trying to come in and rewrite the last half decade of his involvement. It's unbelievable. It's not surprising, but it's insanity.
Ending up an unwilling party in the former Hollywood golden couple's bid for mutual destruction in a British courtroom. With 5 years of hindsight and a changed personal outlook thanks to my own MSM cancellation, I now admit that I should never have got involved in the carnival of commentary on the catastrophic breakdown of Johnny's relationship. Having spent the last 6 months battling deranged lies from an abusive ex designed to destroy my career through a social media campaign.
I'm glad I didn't read on and then play this because he's basically telling us what he said. I'm glad I didn't read the whole thing first.
Supported by a leftist criminal working for the fantasists at Byline Times.
So you notice that he just pulled in politics. He said the leftist fantasists. And again, I'm not trying to get into politics here, but that is his deflection point. Maybe they do want to cancel him over politics. But again, they were playing by his rules. Like that's the kicker there. It doesn't matter their intentions. They were playing by the same rules that he set.
I know how difficult it can be to defend yourself against those sorts of smears, even though I have now been fully exonerated in 2 separate investigations by the Metropolitan and Scottish Police. The hatred that some former lovers carry is disturbingly enough to see them manipulate the truth to bring down their ex at almost any cost.
You notice the words here. Again, ex. They could be liars. I was exonerated because of evidence. Again, all the things I've been saying for you, and again, that where he's calling everybody backing Depp out. That's what people were saying. Where's the evidence, Dan? Oh, well, he never was part of the listen and believe movement. Remember, it's like, what are you fucking kidding me?
Now, here's for the important nuance that many of Johnny's rabid supporters might not be prepared to accept.
Rabid.
This is not my bid to in any way attack or cause further issues.
See, he's a fucking fraud. And he just insulted you as well. Rabid support. Dude, I watched a trial. I investigated everything. If that makes me a rabid supporter of somebody, well, I know who I won't be rabidly supporting. Dan Wooten. Because Dan Wooten is a listen and believe scumbag. Ultimately, he can say everything he wants, but like I said, he's afraid of getting sued. He knows the only way back is to try to walk back some of that. But he's doing it in this. And you know what's fascinating is this scumbaggery right here. This was enough to have every single herdie like turn on him hardcore. I mean, they were already turned on him anyway because he got blamed by people online. Like I said, that's all it takes. And none of these people care because they're not a neutral party or they're not just reporting on accusations. They create them. Dan Wooten creates accusations.
For Amber Heard. She never wanted to be dragged through two personally costly, and in the case of the US, reputationally devastating court cases. I got to know her just a little
by the
after
way,
our careers became
so Amber Heard was not a party in the first case. So she wasn't on trial. Therefore, she wasn't paying for it. That by itself is an out and out lie. The second part, we know it was paid for by insurance companies. She paid a fraction of it. A fraction, because one of those freaking insurance companies, they weren't putting out. But yeah, she had all this backing. ACLU, again, all of the profiteering that she did. Are you kidding me?
surprisingly intertwined, and even though our politics couldn't be more different, believe the public perception of her is unfair.
Scumbag. Again, absolute scumbag. This, the public perception of a person that chopped off a man's finger, that's totally unfair. Well, I believe your accuser, the perception of them that you're trying to create is totally unfair then. That's what he's doing, right? Doesn't matter if you've been exonerated. That's what he's doing, right? I mean, again, he's setting the rules for this. That's just the way it works, right?
It's unfortunate that Johnny felt the need to drag her through these court cases, but I can now see that he saw no other way to declare his perceived innocence to the world in order to be able to return to his passion of acting without any cloud hanging over him, resulting in a reluctance by the big studios to hire him.
You know, Dan Wooten did a GoFundMe to sue his accusers. Remember that, right? That just happened. Like it was not that long ago. So, I mean, he actually went out. He raised money to sue. I'm sure those parties are reluctant to be dragged into the courtroom, right, Dan? What a bully. What a monster. I mean, that's what you're going with. Again, he's trying to walk it where he can justify his own actions. That's the kicker in here.
And blockbusters. In other words, he was determined to clear his name at almost any cost. Having found myself in a comparably ugly situation, I admit to now understanding his desire, no matter how irrational.
No matter how irrational. You notice again, this is supposed to be an apology. This is not an apology, first of all. Like I said, it's Dan Wooten trying to just blather words where he can walk forward and say, I apologized. Is this an apology to you? I'm sorry that you were hitting yourself.
Might be able to move on, but the lingering taint that is connected to a male in the spotlight after these sorts of accusations never completely dissipates, not even close. Which is why we are seeing more and more bitter and twisted former exes or jilted lovers making spurious complaints to the media or sometimes law enforcement without corroborative evidence, with the single goal of destroying a famous person's life. While it has long been lost in their sensational coverage of the trial, my now infamous column in The Sun was actually not focused on Depp and Heard, but rather the hypocrisy of J.K. Rowling.
I'm gonna bring that up in just a minute. I pulled it up, so I want to show you.
Recent years, I've become one of the most ardent supporters of the feminist Harry Potter author for her brave stance to protect the rights of biological women in the face of abusive conduct from the extreme trans lobby. But at the time,
you notice he makes it a political statement. He tries to walk back that because he can't go out and politically or socially say, oh man, I've always stood with J.K. Rowling. When? You look at what he had to say. And again, not getting into any of this time. I'm just saying the hypocrisy is astounding because he went out. It's a call to cancel J.K. Rowling too. He was like, you're a hypocrite. Why aren't you firing this person? Oh, you're a fraud. You don't stand with women.
I found Rowling's hypocrisy over the Me Too movement infuriating. She was leading the ridiculous Believe All Women charge while continuing to support Depp in the lead role in her Fantastic Beasts franchise. That simply
Garbage.
didn't add up to me. And the column was about that piety, not the specific allegations against Depp.
Uh-huh.
But in an unfortunate headline online, which I did not write, by the way, and was never used within the column in the printed newspaper,
The column they deferred to, by the way, this is what it's called now. You tell me how this is better. Gone Potty. How can J.K. Rowling be genuinely happy casting Johnny Depp in new Fantastic Beasts film after assault claim? And then he puts in like all this other stuff, which again, I'm like, are you kidding me?
that headline branded Depp a wife beater and all hell broke loose. The UK court case was filed by the Hollywood actor against the Sun newspaper and me personally, and Amber gave evidence to support our case, which ended up being overwhelmingly backed by the judge. But as a
judge you would call out, by the way. Were you not some partisan party? Again, if you believe this guy in politics, he did the same fucking stuff in social media. If you believe that somehow that this isn't him trying to get in your pockets because he can't get a job now. He's launching his own thing. And I'm not saying you can't get something right, but he was terribly wrong. He will not admit it.
circus developed and the most salacious and unfortunate details of a clearly troubled relationship were revealed to the world, I began to realize the whole thing had been a mistake. I don't know what happened between Johnny and Amber on the plane or at the mansion, and frankly, it was not my business to interfere.
Yeah, he doesn't know, because you know why? He didn't review any evidence. He just decided to write a hit piece because it was nice for him. It got him a lot of clicks. There were allegations, too, that he was paying. Remember, there are allegations made by Byline Times that he was paying people that were connected to the allegations of blackmail and saying that they were sources over Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Greatly, profoundly regret that I ever did. Relationships are complex things after all. Amber had legal and criminal recourse to deal with any allegations of abuse. That's how they should have been handled, not via trial by social media. As it turned out, everyone lost as a result of the bombshell, and I believe unnecessary trials. So today, I'm sorry to both Johnny and Amber for contributing to
You notice he didn't put in Amber's name in his quote-unquote apology, too. Because that's the thing. He just apologized to Amber Heard. Like I said, he's trying to walk it back because he knows that he can't have this on him, which is a huge, huge hit for Amber Heard. But Dan Wooten is such a fucking hypocrite. Like I said, he knows he can't walk that back. I bet you money that Depp, despite everything, if this guy came out and said, I didn't do my research, I went out, I covered something because it was salacious. If he did all that, if he said that, it'd go over a lot better. No, of course not. Because again, if he did that, it would bring in anything he covers. Can't have that.
Their heartache and to the Sun for putting them in an equally unenviable position. Sometimes it's only hitting rock bottom
The Sun
that allows you to reevaluate decisions you've made in the past. And I've had the privilege to do that over the last few years and know I'm a better journalist as a result. One of the missions of my life now is to fight back against the weaponization of people's perfectly legal private business in order to cancel successful careers. There is now a two-tier justice system in the UK where high-profile and mostly right-wing personalities are a focus of police, regardless of the lack of evidence or credibility from accusers.
That's him. He's talking about himself now. Again, you've noticed. He's like, well, people shouldn't be canceled because I don't want to be canceled. Again, right to the point, right there.
Driven by overwhelming malice. I mean, Russell Brand, just another recent example. Now, just like Johnny before me, many of those close to me tell me that now I have been completely cleared, I should just move on and concentrate on the amazing life that I have with a brilliant family and the best and most loyal partner on earth. but salvaging one's unfairly
But
damaged reputation sometimes matters more than anything else. And that's why we should all think twice before joining any sort of concocted MSM witch hunt. When it comes to Johnny Depp, I wish I had.
joining, again, he was one of the main players in the witch hunt. One of the main players. That's why I got sued. And he wants to pretend he wasn't. So let's pull up that article where he's just calling out hypocrisy, right? I mean, that's it. So like I said, I want to be completionist here. I want to make sure that anyone that doesn't know this, they see this. Okay. So I've read the title here. You can see this is covered. This is covered in the Sun IE. So for a holier-than-thou, Twitterati preacher, J.K. Rowling tries to present herself as a leading light for women in the entertainment industry. But the author will need to use every trick in the Harry Potter magic book to handle the growing outrage in Hollywood over a decision to stand by the casting of Johnny Depp in the leading role in a precious Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them franchise. My bad. My bad. I said Harry Potter. Today I reveal a significant backlash from within the hashtag MeToo Time's Up movement. Now, he created this, by the way. The people he quotes in any of this stuff, any of those people, they came out and said, I didn't want to be part of this. I didn't know. I was misquoted. But hey. So he created this idea that there was backlash. And there wasn't backlash within. It was the weaponization of Me Too. Big difference. Big difference. Because the Scot is hell-bent on backing her famous pal despite clearly inexcusable behavior toward ex-wife Amber Heard. So he's saying, I know what happened. Right there. Now he's saying, I had no idea what was going on. But he's saying clearly inexcusable behavior. So he didn't just take a side. He told you there's evidence. Rowling has proven herself to be the worst type of Hollywood hypocrite here. Her claim that she's genuinely happy to have Depp star as the central character, Dark Wizard, Grindelwald, in her big budget film sequel, Fantastic Beasts, Crimes of Grindelwald, provides him total rehabilitation in the eyes of the movie industry. That is not true either. She's condoning behavior that she would be slamming, or she would loudly, or let me say, would be loudly slamming on social media if it were a male executive making the same decision. We found out, by the way, the only reason that she ended up being, quote unquote, okay with this is because she was provided with the evidence. Adam Waldman, Johnny Depp, they spoke. Well, Adam Waldman spoke and said, from the way I understand that, of course, Johnny Depp would have spoke there. And she believed the evidence. She wasn't a listening believer. She was saying, women, if a person is victimized, period, and they can prove that they were victimized. Damn that ad. They were victimized there. Excuse me with that. If they were victimized, they can showcase that. And he did. He showcased that he was not only victimized in a relationship, but in the aftermath. That happens way, way too often. Way too often, especially when you're talking about female perpetrators. And when I say that, I'm going to be very clear on this too. I'm not saying that there aren't male perpetrators, far from it. But in this system these days, social, judicial, also political, all it takes is somebody firing back some jacked up thing. It doesn't matter how much you have on your side. That's what these folks do. And it's insanity. So let me be clear. Listen, let me be very clear for the benefit of apparently unaware Miss Rowling. Overwhelming evidence was filed to show Johnny Depp engaged in DV against his wife, Amber Heard. She was granted an RO after alleging that Depp assaulted her following a drunken argument, submitted photographs to the court showing a bruised face. Yeah, we saw the other stuff, didn't we? Heard backed up by numerous friends on record. Numerous friends on record. People that were sponging through Amber Heard. People that couldn't concoct the correct storyline and get it all aligned there. They recounted a detailed history of DV incidents, some of which had led to her fearing for her life. According to the court documents, kicks, punches, shoves, and all-out assault. While Depp, many high-powered friends accused her of simply seeking a payout, she proved them wrong by committing to donate. You notice they added this, by the way, added in the aftermath, committing to donate, not donating anymore. Like how you changed that, Danny. All of $5 million, or £5 million rather, $7 million she received charity. Didn't donate it, by the way, but hey, you know, that's more of that quote unquote evidence, right, buddy? If Rowling is a supporter of women's rights as she claims, she'd been blinded by her personal friendship with Depp. After all, she coveted him enough to have spent $22 million. I'm sorry, 22 million pounds buying his old yacht, which he had ironically renamed for her. Rowling, a powerful figure who likes to slaughter anyone who dares publicly question her morals and decisions. But today, two brave members of Me Too and Time's Up, both victims of Harvey Weinstein, go public to question her decision. Now, all of this right here, this trash, these are people that on the record, and he doesn't note any of this stuff. They said, oh, misled. Didn't even know what this stuff was about. In a message to Rowling, actress Caitlin Delaney says, we would like to see things change in this industry and not see people who have allegedly victimized women. It's not much of a change if you're seeing people rewarded with roles. Amber has been through a difficult time with him, but it seems like what happened hasn't really affected Johnny. We would like to see things change in the industry, and this is an example of that not happening. I would hope for different roles or different role models than someone who's that kind of history. It's important when you're casting. And also, Catherine Kendall says, I don't stand behind hitting people or abusing people. It seems that Amber got hurt. As someone who has been a victim of SA and a supporter of Me Too, telling the story others, I cannot advocate violence. I think it's a confusing message to put people in roles that are aimed at children and young people. There's a suggestion that they have done something of that nature. So then he puts in 5 questions. 1, do you take DV accusations as seriously as harassment, given your support of Me Too movement? So again, it's all because of the support of the movement. There's a big difference in listen and believe. Like I said, when that movement started out, it gets co-opted by people like Dan Wooten. It becomes a sword. It becomes something where you can smite your enemies. If so, do you believe Heard's detailed 2016 court filing detailing allegations Johnny Depp, which include photos showing her injury, record accounts by other witnesses? Why did Depp agree to pay $5 million as a settlement, including a confidentiality agreement if there's no truth? Because you have to pay abusers to get out of relationships. That's how it works. Here's a stunning thing that a lot of people don't understand. Unless somebody commits a felony against you, they go to prison with a felony because domestic violence is a misdemeanor. Unless that happens, and people oftentimes, they shield the people that take your fingers. They shield the people that put a cigarette on your face. You have to pay for the privilege of getting out of that relationship, especially if you're a man. It is it's just a nasty little thing that most people do not understand. Look it up. You'll see. You admitted last year there were legitimate questions about Depp's casting. What were these? How did you overcome them? No. Here comes a little one. Hey, girl.
I got the cap.
Okay. You got the orange?
I have to do it.
Go get the orange for me.
Okay.
Now put it in here. Okay.
I'm not gonna put it in you.
I'll put it in there. Get it for me. Hurt appeared to question on Instagram. Hurt appeared to suggest on Instagram that you had taken her divorce statement out of context in order to defend Depp's casting. Have you spoken to her directly? All right. So this is all he wants you to focus on. And that alone is damning. But there's another article, another one that he's pretending doesn't even exist anymore. And that fascinates me. It's this one here. Depp is not a victim of cancel culture. He spent years trying to cancel Amber Heard and me. This farce of a trial is designed to ruin his ex-wife, but won't erase the damning judgment against him. That's him not getting involved, right? And I mean, listen to how this goes. After dragging my ass through the high court for 2 years, which resulted in appealing loss for him and complete vindication for me, I genuinely intend to never talk about Johnny Depp again. And yeah, there we are. I actually feel sorry for the former Hollywood icon who has become a pathetic excuse of a man. This is what he wants you to forget. I'm a human being with so much. With so much, all the money in the world, access to most influential people, children who love him, fans who would stick to him, literally any form of documented and probably bad behavior, including abuse of female partner, has become consumed with an overwhelming and uncontrollable desire for revenge. Again, you heard Dan Wooten. Well, people tell me I need to move on, but ruining. Notice this spin here. This is straight from the mouth of Heard because notice the picture. Ruining his ex-wife Amber Heard is his goal. No matter how much it costs, how many lives it destroys, how much it takes his own reputation forevermore. But after watching the vile court case develop in the U.S. over the past couple of weeks, I felt morally compelled to speak out. So again, this isn't about J.K. Rowling. This is him talking about Amber Heard. Because a completely inaccurate narrative is developing. And Depp is somehow the victim of cancel culture. A vile trend spreading like a plague through the Western world that I deplore and spent my professional life campaigning against bullshit. This dude has canceled more people. I mean, he's like the... I was going to compare him to a more legitimate disease, but I would compare him more like gonorrhea or scabies. You know? Yep, here comes my orange drink. Okay.
My orange drink.
All right.
You fill up.
I'll fill it up for you. One sec. Hey, the shark head came. What? Why'd the shark head come off? Does the shark head come off here too? I didn't know that. There we go. We got a drinking cup with it's a shark, right?
Yeah.
It's a cool shark too.
I'm gonna sit down here forever.
Wait. Don't hit the drink.
Yeah.
Don't hit it. Okay.
Okay.
Here, don't hit it.
I'm just saying show like
I know.
this.
Hey, wait. Yeah, but don't hit it. I don't want it all over my keyboard. Okay.
Why?
Why? Because it's nasty if it gets all over your keyboard. That'd be awful, wouldn't it?
But maybe we get ruined too.
Huh?
Maybe we get ruined.
Yeah, it would get ruined. It would ruin the keyboard. You're right. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it?
Is this your pencil or my pencil?
That is my pencil, but you can have it if you want it.
But I want my yellow pencil.
Oh, I don't know where the other one is. Well, why'd you ask me if that's mine? If that's yours, if you knew that wasn't yours.
Fine.
You can use it though. Take it with you if you want. Here.
Pencil was the way
Here,
I need
take
keyboard.
this and take that with you. I'll put the orange drink up later. Okay.
Okay.
I'll put it up. Here you go. You got the pen too. Okay. Don't write on any books or anything. Just on your paper. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Love you. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. There we go. Check this out, though. So the suggestion is farcical, given this entire mess is of Depp's own making. If anything, he canceled himself. Well, remember, Dan Wooten canceled himself. Remember that. Because you speak up about something. You canceled yourself. Just remember that. April 2018, the now infamous column I was writing in my former newspaper, The Sun, which referred to the actor as a wife, rhymes with Walmart greeter. An online headline was actually about J.K. Rowling. Again, he tried this narrative back when. While I believe it to be an important piece of work, it would have been soon forgotten if he hadn't insisted on suing me for reporting overwhelming evidence was filed, showing We just read that. To me, that was indisputable. Then he goes over, I don't want to read every line in this. He goes over the UK, again, the UK, which also quoted giving all the money to charity. Gave, not giving, gave. Because that's what she claimed. She stuck her head down there and said, love you too. Oh, let's see. Now he's suing. Yeah. Hey, close that door for me if you would. Okay. Thank you. He's suing Amber for an article she wrote in Washington Post that he said implied he was violent toward her, even though she didn't include his name. Same talking point we always hear, especially that's right from her. That's her talking point. Depp is banking on celebrity justice because it's a jury trial where his star power could influence the verdict. And once again, completely against her will, she's being forced to have the details of a toxic relationship she has long wanted to move on from, make international headlines for weeks on end. Now, you notice he's tried to spin this a little bit differently, saying it was toxic, as in she was toxic. That's the way his spin goes with it, but that's not what he's saying. She should get to walk away from abusing someone. That's what he's saying. Huh. Maybe that's a little closer to Dan's home, huh? Then it goes, look at this. She's being subjected to inhuman attacks by a group of sick individuals called Depp heads who have been on sustained campaign to discredit her for years. I know all too well how despicable these keyboard warriors are because they have relentlessly targeted me over the same period. Just one example of their depravity. And he talks about spreading a lie that he had been arped by a priest. I never heard that before, but he just threw that in. Because he's saying, oh, I was a victim at one time. So we should believe all allegations then, right? You made an allegation, your ex made an allegation. This sort of online campaign I remain subjected to now pales into insignificance compared to the torment they unleash on Amber, a young mom facing bankruptcy and career ruin if she loses the case every single day. You notice that if she loses, if she's found to be guilty of abuse, of malice, she's just a poor young mom. I mean, are you kidding me? The Depp head cultists who stalk the courtroom and issue regular death threats have seen the Aquaman actress forced to increase her personal security. The trial has been an isolating experience for her, whose every facial expression and wardrobe choice is analyzed compared to Depp, who treats his course appearance like a rock star, where he's greeted by giddy fans. Depp heads effectively use social media, especially Twitter and TikTok, to brand her as crazy, a sentiment they have helped make acceptable. She was even attacked by the trolls online for wearing glasses in court as a sign of narcissism. In fact, she needs them to read. Then he quotes Eve Barlow, the same person who turned on him. So if Eve Barlow is credible, then you're guilty, you piece of shit. Because she knows, right? She knows. She said, you're guilty, my man. She said, yo, guilty. The Scottish activist Eve Barlow, one of her few champions in the media, has been supporting her at the trial. Correctly believes that she has been re-traumatized. She told me during Depp's disastrous libel trial in the UK, the world learned that he promised global humiliation for Amber Heard. By the way, The U.S. trial is being depicted in the media. It appears he's fulfilled his promise. So the media went after Depp almost in every article that you see. They're still doing it. You see the lie there. But again, not only does the media bias continue to be wholly imbalanced in favor of Depp, with notable omissions from press coverage about the very damning pieces of evidence against him, social media landscape is shockingly brutal for Amber, with TikTok and Twitter especially becoming insensitive and oversimplifying platforms drawn to spreading disinformation and misogynist hate. So does this now make Dan Wooten a misogynist? Fascinating. The live broadcast of this trial is highly dehumanizing. Yeah, because you get to see everything that happened, and has resulted in obsessional nitpicking over her wardrobe every day, facial expressions. She's subject to disproportionate criticism while Depp sits in the court smiling, doodling, and laughing with his cancel, backed by an army of vocal Twitter fans who are sat in the public gallery. This coming from the lady that got kicked out of the trial. For not only, she first got moved into the back because fake evidence. And then gets kicked out, texting. But hey, it's very re-traumatizing event, and one that has the power to affect other survivors of abuse. You notice he doesn't talk to anybody but people that are in the Amber Heard circle. He spent years doing this shit. Years of it. Years of it. Countdown star Rachel Riley, referring to Depp's court loss against me, tweeted yesterday, "There's already been a judgment showing he's a monster. So you see how no one in their right mind can defend this man." Again, you see how this is spun. And then he goes through, Johnny Depp is not a victim of cancel culture. He's a proponent of it. He tried to cancel me and failed. Not wanting to be canceled makes you a proponent of cancel. Man, fuck Dan Wooten. Again, if anybody falls for this guy, shame on you. Shame on you. That's all I know. Shame on you. I wanted to talk about this though, because I thought it was a mess. I might boil this down to maybe a video tomorrow or two. I'm not sure yet. But it amazes me. It amazes me what you see here. Let me hit some super chats on this too. Tracy thinks of 5. People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Indeed. They should not, should they? Mystic Gaming? Dan Wooten needs to make a public apology to Johnny Depp personally. Yeah, he's not going to do that though. It's going to be like, well, because of me. That's really what he'd said. ESB40, thanks for 5. It's amazing how he was sued and allowed not to show up. Amber was allowed to step in for him. Tells you all you need to know about UK justice. Indeed. That is very true. That is very true. Wander does. Thank you for the gifted and the gifted and the gifted. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Appreciate watching them land too. That's great. Tracy, thanks for the 2 there. Split decision. She told lies in the UK. Well, we know she told lies in the UK. Again, people have broken it down about all of the issues with how that stuff came up. But Mark, thanks for 5. I started to watch this on Black Barrister, but I had to stop because I threw the monitor out the window. Indeed. Gloria, thanks for the I guess karma juice is a bit bitter, huh, Danny? Indeed. Rio Ra, thanks for the Remember seeing Carolyn Flack? Oh yeah, that's one that he never wants to talk about because what he did in that was so egregious. Oh, so bad. Scranton, Strangle, thanks for the 2 there. I didn't write headlines. I retweeted BS. Yeah, that's just Dan's talk point, isn't it? They're like, it worked for one. Again, same talking points each time. Thanks for the gin there. Best rum. Yes. Berg rum made in Australia. Combined U.S. cities? I've never been a rum drinker, really. I'll try that maybe on a vacation or something. Rebecca, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tux Thugs. Appreciate you. K-Rap, thanks for the 2. Dan Wooten, apology to JD. Me. Indeed. That's the way it went, wasn't it? M4A now. Catching up, I was so angry when I caught Dan Wooten live on Megyn Kelly and then seeing his apology. Thank you for streaming, picking it all apart. Indeed. I don't like the rewriting of history here. This guy, the media whines about, oh man, you spend time. I spent time with record documents. Dan Wooten just wrote hit pieces based on what Eve Barlow and Amber Heard told him. Nothing else. I would grill Dan Wooten live. I would destroy him live. I rarely would do anything like that, but Dan, yeah, I would have fun destroying you live. I mean, it's easy for you to sit around and talk shit about somebody that wouldn't come on and talk about something, or it's easy for you to sit there and talk your trash when it comes. But like I said, every talking point that you made can be used against you. Remember, you're the vehicle of your own cancellation. You really were. Did it for years. Everything you threw at somebody else, it could be used against you. And it should. That, again, I firmly believe in the reap your whirlwind. And he should reap that one. Rita Wright thinks so too. Dan's acting is just as bad as A ages. Oh dear. Yeah, you see his acting in that one freaking video when he was like, I gotta clear my name. And it's like, are you kidding me? It's all it's political talking points. And it works. What really annoys me is that it works. People need to get past this idea. If you like him for that reason, that's your prerogative. If you like what he has to say on something else, that's your prerogative too. But he is not only canceled, like I said, like a Johnny Depp, but he went out, he was talking about when journalists, when they get accused, they need to be fired. They may be forced to sit on the sideline while this stuff plays out. He was telling me not to listen to Byline Times. That was the hypocrisy. That was my whole point in it. People were like, well, nothing's been proven with that. That's the point. That is the point. Dan Wooten is a fucking hypocrite. Now that he has to actually reap that whirlwind, he wants to wiggle away. Lady Tiger, thanks for the 10. Hey, Tug. John S. typing or wifey. Hey, what's up, John S? Hey, what's up, wifey as well? She still can't see good enough to do it herself. She says that Baby Umbrella Girl is adorable. Loves when she hijacks her way in. Candy money. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah, she's funny with that. I'm even trying to stop it. I mean, why should I? Why should I at all? She's funny. She's cute on here too. And it helps with very serious topics as well. Sometimes the break is needed because like this topic, it frustrates me a bit. There are people out there that, they'll get on the microphone and yell and rant and, like that. I don't like to yell. I don't like to rant. I like to mock. That's what I like. I like to mock. But Dan Wooten infuriates me because he is such a freaking hypocrite. And 200 what? Thanks for 2. But wait, Megyn Kelly backs him. Isn't he legit? Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? It's fascinating how all that works. Partisanship. That's how it goes, partisanship. But she did call him out and be like, well, no, not really. You notice that in there. And if you watch the whole thing, like I could have sat here and played the whole thing, but essentially from the beginning on, he talks about how he was canceled. And that's how he gets to the Johnny Depp stuff. He was like, well, I should have never covered this because relationships are so tumultuous. Therefore. And I mean, really, it wasn't about coverage. It was about stance. Because he didn't look at what was presented. He just took her words. He thought, biggest name out there. Johnny Depp was the biggest name he could take aim at. And the Sun, that's what they like. They love the salaciousness. That's what he built his reputation on. See, again, he has taken who he is and he's tried to redefine himself as a political talking head. I mean, I don't really like play. Every now and then, like, you'll see something factual come out of a political talking head. Sometimes they'll have a point on something, but by and large, it's coming from a place that wants to twist things, because they want to ultimately get many people in office. And I've been alive long enough to see both sides try to cancel things that I like. There are different buzzwords, but they'll try to cancel the same things sometimes. Absolutely the same things. I've seen it. I've seen it in music. I've seen it in games. Gaming. Right now, gaming is a huge thing with quote unquote Gamergate 2.0 kicking off. You have media, but you also have people that are trying to get in there and call out because of politics. But just a few years ago, they were saying, I would say, worse things that are coming up now. Again, it's poison. It's a poison well where all of this comes from. And ultimately, should have Dan Wooten have gotten involved? If he could have been, if he could have looked at something. But the reason he got sued in so many other places didn't was because of what he tried to do. He tried to cancel a man's life and his career. It wasn't just about covering something. He didn't just step in and, oh, that was unfortunate. No, he went a lot further. But anyway, that's all I want to cover today. It's enough. It's enough. But that's what I want to cover today. I think it's worth covering. I think it's worth calling that out. But that's it. I'm going to end here. Thanks.